Hello again, everybody. Welcome into another episode of HBCU Huddle. I am CJ Hurt. Follow me on the Instagram at new_ConRadicalness. Follow me on the Twitter at ConRadicalness up there. Joined alongside, as always, by Mike Wallace. Mike, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? This, I guess you might as well say joined by the Mike Wallace.
The Michael Wallace.
The Michael Wallace. I'll take it, man. How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man.
I'm good. It's great to see you. We talked some this weekend. Saw my man down on campus at Tuskegee. Made my heart skip a beat or two, man. There's some good stuff. There's some good stuff. I remember where he was standing, right behind it, the new student union.
Yeah. Okay.
That was dilapidated when I was there. That was run down and done for, and we were like, "Yo, tear this building down. This can't be the first, because it's the first thing you see when you come on to Tuskegee's campus." And then they ended up getting some money, putting it in there.
Yes.
And hats off to them. Wish I would have done it when I was there, but whatever.
Hey,
I ain't mad. I ain't jealous about it. We did get bioethics when I was there. It's great. Shout out to everybody, all the high school students on college campuses at Tuskegee, Tennessee State, and elsewhere, getting their first taste of the college life. That's some good stuff right there, Mike.
Nah, no question about it, man. And just to kind of fill in some gaps there before we get to the show rundown for today, man, is that, my youngest son, Kevin Wallace, started his 2-week program at Tuskegee University in the agri-science, agro-culture department, man. And it's 56 students, I think, spread across. I mean, it was a group that came from as far as Montego Bay, Jamaica. They came from North Carolina, from Georgia, from California. So students from all across the country have converged on the Tuskegee's beautiful campus, man, for these 2 weeks to learn about agricultural businesses. And they're taking field trips, and they're doing a whole bunch of stuff, learning about the money there. And I tell you what, CJ, that was also my first time at your alma mater's campus.
It's beautiful.
That was my first time. And what I expected and what I got, if I was expecting a 6, I got a 9. Like, it is a beautiful, immaculate campus. It's safe, it's secure, it's, everything is gated, but it's also, it's an ode to the historic buildings that are there, because those didn't get torn down. Yeah. They're on the national registries now, and the new buildings there. And every single quad has a capital campaign sort of a billboard there to tell you how much money is being raised to meet some goals to keep that community and that campus vibrant. Man, I'm telling you what, man, Tuskegee, if there's a push for them to go Division I and maybe join the SWAC or the MEAC, I mean, they look like they're ready from I've seen a lot of campuses across the country, and Tuskegee's one that really, really surprised me, and I was pleasantly surprised with how beautifully and well kept it is, man. It's a wonderful campus. They've
got lights now on the football field, on the football stadium.
Yeah,
I think they would need a bit more upgrades to the stadium. Tuskegee is a real small
They're
school.
not far, though. They're not far away.
If they want to, they can put the millions necessary to get up there, and they can get up quick, up to snuff real quick if they can see and find value in joining MEAC, SWAC, or some other football conference at the FCS level. And Tuskegee fans would love it. I'd love it. But it's got to make sense financially. Speaking of making sense, go ahead.
Last thing, and you probably, because the boys got shafted. So Kevin is right now staying in Bethune Hall.
Oh.
So I'm sure you're familiar with Bethune Hall, right?
I've only heard of Bethune because I stayed in Young, the honors dorm.
You stayed in Young.
I stayed in Young. I stayed in the honors dorm.
They're doing some upgrades to a lot of the dorms around there. The girls got the greatest part because they got the brand new facilities there. So the girls are staying across campus along that back row. Back there, man. It looks like some really, really cool apartments and suites. But the boys got the Bethune Hall, man. They got the dungeon.
I want it so desperately, and we got to get to the
character,
show.
Though.
We are already off topic, but I want it so desperately when I became an RA. I was an RA my sophomore year. I think I've told this story before. I'm not sure. I wanted so desperately to get Young or Bethune. Okay. Young was the honor dorm for freshmen. Bethune was the freshman dorm.
Right.
I could do the Emory's also. The Emory's cost a little bit more. It was single occupancy room, so it was less people in there.
Yeah.
And you control, and at the time you could control your heat and your air in your room.
Okay.
So you weren't at the mercy of
the hall.
Of the hall.
Yeah.
I ended up in Russell, which is not where I wanted to be. Russell, it was full of hoodlums and hooligans. Russell had a raid pop off the year before. They felt like the RA was a snitch. They had kicked in the RA's door. And I was like, yo, y'all are sending me there. And the reason why, Mike, they're walking up, the dorm directors are walking up. Hey, I like your style. You seem like a intelligent, well put together young person. Yeah. You can come in and you can lead this dorm. I want you with me. You decide, and then you go with them. And so they're doing this, and everybody's getting picked off. Right. And I'm like, yo, what's happening? Why is nobody talking about what an exceptional young man I am? And my homeboy, Jerry Terry. His name was Jerry Terry. First name Jerry, last name Terry. Shout out Mr. Terry, RIP to Mr. Terry. He ended up passing away not too long after I graduated. He came up to me. He was a Southern gentleman, older, real slow talk. He said, yeah, you look big enough. You look like you can fight. You're in Russell now. And then just turned and walked away. I was like, wait a second, I'm going to have to fight? What is happening?
They needed security at Russell. That's what it is. Okay.
But you know what? Yeah. I was in Russell. Whatever issues that popped off, and a couple issues did pop off.
Of course.
We were able to just everybody on handle the hall. Everybody on the hall, come outside right now. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Like, yo, we can't do this. We can't do that. Like, y'all fix it because I don't want to write fines. You don't want me writing fines. Yeah. So let's figure it out from there. Great. Loved my experience in Russell Hall.
There you go.
But that's I didn't get to stay in Bethune. I didn't get to stay in Bethune. That's tough.
It's cool though. It's cool. It'll build some character for him. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It'll build some character for him. You know what I mean?
That walk from Bethune to the cafeteria.
Yeah, down and back up again.
And I stopped going through the valley. So the way Tuskegee is set up, for those who don't know, as we continue to stay off topic, when I was there, there's a very clear split between one side of campus and another side of campus. And so I was there 05 to 09. And so there was a boys' side and a girls' side. And I think that's still pretty much the case. Now, the cafeteria is on the girls' side.
It is, right.
To get across that side, you can walk all the way around, or you can go through the valley. And it's called the valley because that's what it is. You go down into basically this trench thing, and then you walk across, and then back up. You have to climb back up. And Tuskegee is hot. Yes. Tuskegee is hotter than any place I've ever been, and I live in Memphis, Tennessee right now. Tuskegee heat is different. Like, it feels like God set the thermostat on hell and just said, all right, we're good to go. It's just hot. And so I was like, yo, there's no way I'm going to make it walking down and then up.
Back up, yeah.
And then after eating, go back down and back up. So I just started.
And do that 3 times a day, right?
I'm only eating once, or I'm just walking around, man. That's why I spent so much time in the library. Because the library is on that side.
It is. And
it's like, yo, I got 2 hours. I could walk back to the dorm.
Right. And be done.
And if I go back to the dorm, I'm not coming back to eat. I'm just going to be hungry. Like, forget it. So I just kick it in the library and study and made good grades.
Man, you know what they got now, though? Mobile snack carts.
No.
They got a mobile snack unit that comes. It's like an ice cream truck that drives around and sets up in different areas. So if you want snacks, you can go get your snacks, man.
Get out of
when
here.
I heard that at the orientation, I was like, come on, man.
Get out of here.
Make this boy suffer a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Get rid of that.
He's got to suffer. Come on.
I love
he can't get snack carts.
That it feels like all of us as HBCU alum have moments where it's like, yo, look at the progress my school has made, and we're so very, very proud of it, and we should be. Yeah. But it's like, yo, y'all are making some of these dudes and dudettes a little soft. Listen, man, just every now and then turn the air off in the summertime on them. Just let them sweat it out. Just every now and then, let them have that moment. It's great that they have that. Again, it's another one I wish that they had when I was there. I'm not going to hate too much on the fact that they get snack carts driving around. Here's the thing about the snack carts. I'm assuming you got to have money to be able to partake.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't getting no money from my parents. My parents like, goodbye.
Yeah, and you got to make it work.
Good luck. Make it happen, Captain.
Yeah,
it's like, all right, damn, okay. I guess I will. Man, thank you, Mike, for taking me down memory lane.
Thank you, like I said before, for you and Miss Courtney, your lovely wife, man, for the recommendation letter. And he knew what to expect. I made him do a 3-page essay report on Tuskegee's history, figures, and relevance before he even went. And so the fact that he knew so much about Tuskegee before the program started, I told him, I promised him that it would be a bonus. And when he got there, his instructions were to turn it into the director of the agriculture department to show that he's already aware. And just to show some initiative, man. So thank you and Courtney for the recommendation letter. He's making the most of it. And in 2 weeks, I'll go down there and pick him up and see what happens, man. See if he's going to be leaning towards that Tuskegee, becoming that Tuskegee guy. Man, they did the chant and everything like you do.
They did.
Man, my wife, hold on. The last thing, and then we can get into the show.
Of course they did the damn
chant,
The
orientation
Mike.
Starts, we're in.
Are y'all in the chapel?
No. We were in, it began with a P. The hall began with a P. Patterson Hall.
Okay.
Patterson Hall. So we're in Patterson Hall. We're in the the little theater room in the department or whatever. And, the director of the program stands up and gives some instructions. And then she's like, okay, now you're going to meet the camp counselors and the students who are going to be running the camps. And then it was like 12. It was 12 to 15 versions of CJ, just strolling and yelling and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Clapping and yelling and woo-hooing and Tuskegeeing all the way through the aisles. And I'm like, I looked at my wife and I was like, now y'all see where CJ get it from, man.
That's the only way to do the chants. You got to get loud with it. You got to be proud.
It was crazy,
Mike,
man. But yeah, that was cool. That was beautiful, man.
We get to the football game. Kickoff is typically sometime afternoon, right? So noon, 1 o'clock, so that the calf opens at 4. They want the game to be over so people can go straight from the game to the calf for dinner. So sometime noon or 1-ish. Yeah. And we didn't have lights on the field when I was there, so there weren't any night games. Kickoff, let's say kickoff is at 1. I mean, you're in the stands, in your seats, under the shed, about 6:30, 7 o'clock?
a.m.?
In the morning, Mike. And there's nothing to do but yell and chant. That's it.
For 5 hours before kickoff.
Boy, 5 hours, we are turned. And underneath the shed, only the students are there. The students are there, and maybe some bluebirds or something like that. The ants. The ants are also out there, and it's just us. I know people, plural, who couldn't get to an 8 o'clock class, but who could get under the shed by 6:45.
Wow.
And we are just out there partaking, excited.
Yeah.
We are singing songs. We are singing Shy. We're singing Fresh Prince. We're doing all of the chants. And then the football players come out to start warming up. And we're excited for that, and the band comes through, and we're really excited about that because we love the band. We love the band. We love that hot damn band. All right.
Question.
And so they come out, and then it is literally on a Saturday. Because it's the only thing to do from about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning till about 4 in the afternoon. That's where everybody on campus is.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Great stuff, man. Great stuff. Enjoyed that, man.
I'm glad he's down there, man.
Now we got to go to break before we even set the show up.
We got to go to break. Kyra. We got to go to break. We hadn't even set the show. But listen, man, whenever you get a chance to talk about your HBCU and you get a chance to illuminate that university, you should take it.
Absolutely.
You should absolutely take it. That's the only way people are going to. That's the best way people have to learn about it and to know about it, and for a younger generation to say, oh, I can go here. This could be really, really fun. So on the other side, we're going to talk about the SWAC, who decided to opt into the House versus NCAA settlement. We're also going to talk about some HBCU flavor in the UFL, and we got time today. We are absolutely going to break down season 1 of the Boondocks. Me, Mike Wallace. It's going to be great. Don't go anywhere. HBCU Huddle right here in the Built Ford Tough Studios on Grind City Media.
Final score in Nashville last night, Switzerland 4, United States 0. Guess how many shots on goal? Take a guess.
1.
0. Switzerland's keeper could have sat down in the goal and went like this the whole game. And the United States would have still scored 0 goals?
That's wild.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
What can the Memphis Grizzlies learn from the Thunder Pacers NBA Finals series?
Your style of play is not something that you really have to change. Both of these teams love to play fast. Both these teams love to play really aggressively on the defensive side of the ball.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Murray State is going to the College World Series. It's easy for me to pick a team because 1, I love an underdog. 2, I hate UCLA, and I see that opening round matchup. And 3, we are connected to the school's most famous alumni, Ja Morant of Murray State.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
The UFL Championship was over the weekend
What
as
a game.
well.
Oh, boy.
What a
Big
game.
game. DC knocking off Michigan 58-34. The Defenders are your champions.
First off, the over was like 50.5. And the over hit in the first half. It was incredible. Stuff was happening. Jordan Tom, who had not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 total touchdowns.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Welcome back. HBCU Huddle, CJ, Mike. Let's get into this SWAC opting into the House versus NCAA settlement, Mike. Just a couple of things, a little background for those of you who don't know. For almost the entirety of the NCAA's existence, it has been illegal for players to be paid, for players to be compensated. Recently, they have lifted that to go to more of an Olympic-style model where, okay, players can be compensated, players can be paid. The NIL era is here. If you can gather the money, you can pay the players, right? So if player X gets a deal with Nike, I'm just throwing that out there. Nike wants to play player X while he's at your university. Player X can go out there and do that. You as a university can't pay them. Now, your boosters can. Your fans can. So if you can find a booster whose pockets are deep enough to go out there and pay a player or players, knock yourself out, you can do that. But you as a university cannot pay the players. So House versus the NCAA is a case that made its way through the courts, and it was back pay for players who came right before the NIL era began, who are like, yo, if they can get it now, we should be paid also. I think it goes back to 2010. So if you were a college athlete, 2010 to pre-NIL, so like 2021, I think, you can get a piece of this $1 billion settlement by the NCAA. In order to get that, your university has to opt in. And in opting in, your university is agreeing to allow schools to share up to $20.5 million with student athletes. So now schools, instead of having to go through boosters, instead of having to rely on local businesses and national businesses, schools now can directly pay student athletes from a cap of $20.5 million per school. The SWAC is going to opt into this. The SWAC will not place any scholarship caps on any sports. So the cap now is 63 for football, just as an example. If you've got the scholarships, you can give out 72 of them, 85 of them, 64 of them. You don't have to cap it at 63. Everybody opting in to the House versus NCAA settlement is agreeing to this. Other HBCUs that have also opted in include Morgan State, Maryland Eastern Shore, TSU, North Carolina A&T, Norfolk State, and Hampton. That TSU is Tennessee State. The Texas Southern also opted in, but that's a part of
SWAC.
the entire SWAC. Mike, what does this mean from a college athletic standpoint for the SWAC as you think about it right now?
I'm still, as well as you articulated, the background and the history and what led up to it, there's still so many things that are a little bit confusing to me. Saying yes that you opt into it doesn't mean that SWAC schools can afford to pay $20 million a year. right, to their players. They just won't, because you have some Division I's that can't even afford to pay $20 million. To pay $20 million to their athletes. So what it does is it includes you in the grouping for this legislation, but it doesn't necessarily commit you to having to shell out that kind of money, because frankly, you don't have it to shell out. You're not going to cap your scholarships, but you just don't have endless ones to give out. I would be shocked if any school in the SWAC can give out 110 football scholarships. They can't. So just because you're saying you're opting in and you're not going to put caps on it doesn't mean that you're going to see exponential growth in HBCU athletics. It just means that you're not barred from the growth opportunities. So for now, that's the right move to make. But now you still have to force your HBCUs to find some funding sources to help generate that money, because this doesn't eliminate the NIL. There's still NIL, but it just means that now the payments can come directly from the school to the players. And if you look in the news right now, Tennessee State struggling financially to get above board. FAMU struggling financially to keep its resources the way they are. Even our flagship schools, those are two of the biggest HBCUs that we have in the country, are struggling financially right now. So what does this mean? Not a whole lot, but just logistically and legally, the parameters are set in place, but I don't know if the actions will necessarily follow.
To your point about the $20.5 million, went to USA Today to see revenue for D1 schools, and they get them for every year. USA Today gets them, they compile them for all of the D1 schools, the public D1 schools, the schools who will share that information. Some of the private schools don't. And that's fine, but I went and took a look for SWAC and MEAC schools specifically. The school in the SWAC that brought in the most money was Southern at about $18.1 million, which is about $3 million less than the 20.5, right? And that's Southern. Mississippi Valley is down there at $4 million in revenue, and then you've got,
and this is athletic revenue.
This is athletic revenue. Okay, and then you've got Alabama and A&M at 14.5, Prairie View A&M at 14.3, Alabama A&M at 14, Florida A&M at 13, Texas Southern like 13.3 million, Jackson State, another one of those larger HBCUs, sitting there at 12.8 million, right? Like that's way less than the 20.5 that you would share with players. I'm with you. This feels like we're going to commit to staying D1. It feels like you're going to have to do some of this to be considered
or
D1.
FCS, yes.
D1 FCS.
Yes,
we have to continue to do this.
Now, to your point though, what year was that from?
2024.
2024. So it was the last year. So it's a year back.
I guess it's
still relevant.
It was
though.
done 2024. So I guess it's from
Charting
2023.
Yeah. Right. So it's still relatively recent, right?
Yeah.
Those are just those are the revenues, right? Is there a column that showed expenses?
Oh, my.
Because that's the thing.
Yeah. Throw it back up there for me, Kyron.
I don't know if when you talk about, I don't know if Southern cleared 17 million, right?
So Southern is sitting there at. Here it is. Southern sitting there at 18.1 mil in revenue, 18.5 in expenses. Right?
So they're in debt then. They owe 400,000.
Correct. Yeah. Like that's where we are.
So you're spending what you make.
If you can see it on the it's not up there on the screen, but if you can see the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, that second column is expenses.
Okay.
So the first column is revenue, the second column is expenses. If we could take a look at the MEAC for
is anyone, before you switch, is anyone in the SWAC in the black, or is everyone pretty much in the red?
I would guess everyone in the SWAC is in the red. That's my guess.
From what you're looking at, yeah.
Prairie View A&M, 14.3 mil in revenue. No, that's revenue expense. Yeah, I'm trying to find it here.
Yeah.
Alabama A&M is close. Texas Southern is right on the head.
Yeah. So they're balancing the budget. Yeah. And that's typically what you're going to find.
Jackson State is close. Alabama State, Kyra says, Alabama State is 14 mil in revenue, 17 mil in expenses.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bramble, hot damn, Mike, I got one. And some Tigers are grambling. 11.3 mil in, no, that's revenue and expenses also. So yeah, no, Mike, to your answer, no. Nobody's in the black. Nobody's in the black.
You basically went through the entire SWAC right there.
Well, all the ones we have information for. There's some that we don't have information for.
And I think that's strategic as well, too, because you want to show a balanced book. To make sure that you don't have a lot of money left over, because that means that you're not spending it the way that you're supposed to be spending. But this doesn't even make room, as we just laid out, CJ. And I know we're getting into the weeds here, and it's a lot of financial nerd talk when it comes to these kind of things and spreadsheets. But what we're saying right now is that SWAC schools and HBCUs have been operating basically at a flat line or in the red to a certain degree. They don't have the extra money to even pay players. So they're basically just capped off at what they're giving out in terms of scholarships. So whatever you're getting additionally in NIL is not going to mean much of anything in terms of the bottom line. So it just means that, like, listen, we're opting in to play ball with everybody else, so these rules will include us. And when we get ready to really get to the funding sources that we need, then we can start making some money and paying some players the way we need to.
If we take a look at the MEAC side of things, there is one school by my calculation that is in the black, and that's South Carolina State, who has a revenue of about $13.2 million and an expense of about $7.8 million.
Oh, then you're doing it right there.
So
that's something right there. I think
that's the only one. Delaware State, Norfolk State are both breaking even.
Yeah.
North Carolina Central is breaking even. And Maryland Eastern Shore is breaking even.
So that means South Carolina State is an outlier, because that means you're talking $7 million almost in what you're clearing in net.
Yeah.
I don't know if that reporting is off or if that's an outlier. Or I would love to see what South Carolina State is doing from that means. That means that they're just not, maybe they didn't send a band on the road. Maybe they didn't pay out a lot more because they had to reallocate that money to something else. So, I mean, again, it's a complicated issue, man. But, as they say, when a big time power conference catches a cold, the HBCUs catch pneumonia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And right now, that's how the money aspect of it is right now too. So
just recklessly speculating.
It's going to be a minute before we get that turned around.
I don't think it'll ever be turned around. HBCUs are historically underfunded, and the excess funding that other universities get, and that's how you end up paying for some of these extracurricular activities.
True.
And the boosters from some of these universities, the largest of large universities, the football factories, the basketball factories, the boosters from there is how you end up buying new weight rooms and new facilities and things of that nature. And that's why there's a split between FBS and FCS now, because FBS is full of schools who can pay a little bit more to upgrade facilities than what the other D1 schools can. And only football. I'm only talking about football.
Right, because that's the money maker.
That's the money maker. That's the one driving this thing. So I don't know if HBCUs will ever be able to get there, because the first thing that has to happen, and I don't know if this will ever happen, HBCUs have to be funded appropriately, and they still aren't being done so right now. When we talk about it when it happened, every now and then it comes up in conversation, but we know schools like Tennessee State, North Carolina A&T, and others, those two immediately come to mind because they're underfunded by multiple billions.
Historically, right.
These other schools, other state schools, these other, what do we call them? The agriculture schools. They are underfunded. $500 million here, $750 million there, right? Based off of the land grant institutions, based off of different schools here. One school might be underfunded by $550. Another school might be underfunded by $800 million historically, right? So until they get that gap closed, won't be able to spend any extra money on athletics, football, and others. And so it does beg the question here: what role do sports play in the overall college experience? And I do think it does play a large role and a big role, and it's something that can instill a bit of civic pride and school pride in you and be something fun for everybody to do. I just shared the story about what we did at Tuskegee, 6 a.m. for a tip-off, for a kickoff that's noon or that's at 1. So there's something there for it, and I've heard Bomani Jones make this argument, and after sitting on it for a little bit, he's made this argument for years. It's something that I tend to agree with as well. You go to the Ivy League model of doing things where it is, okay, cool, we're going to give out scholarships, but this isn't the end-all, be-all for our university. We're not looking at this football or other sport as a way to make money. We're looking at it as a way to give our students things to do and to help people who got overlooked by some of these larger universities, give them an opportunity to shine and maybe make a difference for themselves and their family later on down the line.
That's an interesting way to look at it, but I think the sports and the band and the social aspect of HBCUs are the lifeblood of HBCUs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can adopt the full-on educational model, because then you're talking about.
But the Ivy League doesn't have the full-on educational model.
No.
They've got
the Ivy Leagues don't necessarily fund scholarships for sports either.
Got you.
So you have to kind of walk on. I'm sure there's other ways to offset it, right? Because not everybody's paying $90,000 a year to go to Yale and play football, right? So I'm sure there's some kind of offset there. But the model that Bomani, I think, was talking about was how you emphasize, like, where's the emphasis of what
emphasis.
Yes.
Being smart about the emphasis. Anything that we need scholarships. We need more scholarships. It's expensive to go to college. They've made it real difficult to go about getting student loans now and that's well. The thing. And so any scholarship you can get and give for a young person to attend college, you need to get it and give it. So I'm not saying take scholarships away from the athletic side of things. No, keep those. But just the emphasis and what we think about these universities on the field as fans and as people who love these universities, I think that shift in thought has to change, if that makes sense.
It does, but it's going to be hard, though, because as much as HBCU sports are a big thing among HBCU alum, the 60,000 you're getting at Jackson State, maybe 35 to 40 went to Jackson. 25 didn't, right? The classics that are drawing, not everybody went to those schools. They're part of the experience, right? So it's almost like, how do you do it from that standpoint? And I get it. I get exactly what you're saying, too. But the thing about it is that these schools, it's not just the financial, it's not just the athletic departments that are operating at the under. It's also the universities overall, because of the default rate on student loans, because of, different things that, students are matriculating in but not finishing. Yeah. And those are all things that impact the bottom line, man. So we got to, I agree with you. We got to make the emphasis as much about what the experience of education is about and not go overly emphasizing on sports. But sports have been such a lifeblood.
It's so important.
It's so important, man. And that's what we talk about. And that's one of the reasons why we're here doing our podcast every week, is because of the sports brings us into these other discussions.
Sports drives enrollment.
There you
right?
go.
If you've got a good sports team, if you've got a good football team, right, it's going to drive enrollment.
Yeah.
We see it across sports levels where it is, all right, I want to go here. Look at what the enrollment was at Alabama pre-Nick Saban. Look at what it is now after Nick Saban, or at the height of Nick Saban's tenure. Look at what the enrollment was at the University of Michigan pre-Fab Five, and then look at it right during the height of the Fab Five, right after the Fab Five, right? And I'm just using those as examples. Those are PWIs, but I'd be interested. I bet
A&T, you can look at A&T.
I bet you A&T's
enrollment spiked right
I bet
after
you Jackson
doing that
State's
championship.
enrollment is crazy right now compared to in years past.
Where it was down, right.
Pre-Coach Sanders, and now post-Coach Sanders, T.C. Taylor, right? Like, being good at sports does help drive enrollment, and there's money in driving the enrollment.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be sports to be taken away from HBCUs. That's not what I'm saying. Right. And I don't want these scholarships to be taken. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the way that we on the outside think about these things, we have to shift how we are thinking about them now, if that makes sense.
No, that does 100%.
All right, we're going to take a break. On the other side, we're going to talk about some HBCU flavor, specifically Tennessee State, in the UFL and in the UFL Championship game, specifically right here on HBCU Huddle. Slow down. Can you tell it's been 2 weeks? Right here in the Built Ford Tough Studios on Grind City Media.
There are futures for Aaron Judge possibly hitting 400. Hitting 400 at the All-Star break, plus 600.
Oh, wow.
To have a 400 batting average in the regular season, plus 3,800. To win the Triple Crown is only plus 145.
I don't think he's going to hit 400 for the season.
I don't either. I that would be
ridiculous.
Yes, ridiculous.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
There's a lot of guys around the NBA who have signature shoes who it's kind of weird that they have a signature shoe.
Yeah.
You guys know who this is?
This is the D-Lo's, right? That's D-Lo's logo.
That's right, D'Angelo Russell. Who's this one? Do you guys know?
I have no idea.
Denver Nuggets.
Oh, Aaron Gordon, brother.
Aaron Gordon.
That's a good colorway.
Isaiah Stewart.
Oh, no, I had no idea.
I could have just said, who is this? You guys wouldn't have been able to tell from the picture. The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Tony Allen joining us. I believe Hey!
Young TA, what a fresh chop. That boy sliced today, boy. You say, that boy got the tape on the side? Okay, TA.
Hey, and I like how you blurred out your background so we can't see that La Quinta this time.
Can't see the hole in the wall, TA.
Can't see the hole in the wall.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Teresa, what do we need to know from Titans minicamp? It has started. You've been out in the hot, early summer sun watching this team start trying to put it together.
The thing that I think that has really jumped out this week, Cam Ward. Jeff Simmons is, trash talking the rookie, trying to get in his head, and Cam Ward's coming right back at him.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Just a great overall. Just a great overall dude, great teammate. Cares so much about so many people. Not just a football player, but a great person. When he was up for the award, it didn't surprise me that it would be him representing our team. It means a lot. You don't do these type of things to receive awards. You do it because, what you feel on your heart and what you feel is right. He's earned that respect from our team by his play and by the things he do outside of football. And win or lose, I'm still going to continue to be the same person I'm going to be. It's going to, continue to help the person next to him, help his community, and just keep doing good. A guy that you want to be a part of your organization, a guy who's going to do whatever he can do to help someone put a smile on their face. I want people to know that you can be a good person and be good at your craft. You don't got to be somebody you're not to be, to fit in. Just be you, be yourself, be your genuine self. The guys see his work ethic, the work he put in, not just on the field, but in the weight room, how he take care of his body from that standpoint. The way that I play the game, I want it to be infectious to anybody that watches it. Hey, the way he plays the game, hey, I want to play just like him. So that's the message that I really want to send, is that, his play is larger than life. You can tell that he's giving his all on the field, and that, whatever it is that he's, passionate about or wants to accomplish, he has the determination to get it done just by looking at him. He don't just do it just to play football just for himself or just for his family. He do it for the people. He loves to put on a show for the people, and then he'll give his shirt off his back or feed anyone that he could feed, help anyone that he could help. You can't just lead by speaking. You got to lead with your actions. Being Sportsman of the Year means a lot, because it's the first time in my life that I feel like I've kind of been recognized for something that's other than outside of that 120. So it means a lot. It shows what type of character that you have, and how you feel about things outside the the sport. So it means the world to me.
That was former Tennessee State Tiger Chris Rowland and head coach for the DC Defenders, Shannon Harris, another former Tennessee State Tiger, talking about Chris Rowland and his honor of being nominated for DC Sports Person of the Year. When I saw that, you sent it, Mike, my immediate thought was, they don't even live in DC. They don't, as UFL players, practice and live in, I can't remember where at in Texas. Everything in me wants to say San Antonio, but it's in Texas somewhere. And then on game days, they fly out to the market. And for him to make that type of an impact in the DC area without being there permanently, such a strong impact to be nominated as DC Sportsman of the Year. That's huge, man. That speaks to the type of character that he has.
Well, I do know that football league prides itself on community service because they got to do the extra work in order to endear those teams into markets where they're not there all the time. So they make that a point. And knowing Chris Rowland, I've been around him. I've interviewed him several times when he was with Tennessee State. I've seen him play. I've seen how dynamic of a player he is. He's had a cup of coffee a couple different times at NFL training camps and was always on that last line of guys that were cut. I think he's going to get another opportunity, man, coming off the season that he had. I mean, that dude was dominant in the championship game, in the playoffs for the DC Defenders. And, he's a quality character person, first and foremost. And then when you look at the kind of player he is, I mean, you see why. And then he articulated it as much during that interview piece that was provided by the DC Defenders social media team. And, I have nothing but great things to say, and I really want that young man to get an opportunity to do it on Sundays in the NFL.
Chris Rowland put on Chris Rowland put on the greatest performance I've ever seen with my own two eyes inside Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. It was Liberty Bowl at the time. Now, there have been great performances. I just hadn't seen them. Great individual performances. I hadn't seen them. What he did in that Southern Heritage Classic, his last Southern Heritage Classic, where we were sitting, like you can get a good lay of the land. You're not watching on TV, so you see where the safeties are. You can tell, all right, one safety's back is probably cover one, two safety back, okay, probably cover two. And whenever it was one safety back there, and whenever that safety wasn't shaded to Rowland, like, holy hell, just throw it up to him. Let him go get it. And what the hell is Jackson State doing? That's Christopher bleeping Rowland over there. You got to put two on him, man. He was incredible on his way to winning Black College Football Player of the Year that year.
And I want to say he took a kickback, too, in that game. I want to say he took a punt back, too.
Incredible to watch at Tennessee State. He led the UFL in all-purpose yards. He was second in the UFL in targets, second in yards after catch, second in receiving yards. Like, he was top 3 in return yards. There was a play in the championship game, which was on Saturday, where it's a bubble screen. You're not supposed to do anything with a bubble screen. Just fall forward and let's keep it going. He busts that out from his own 20 to all the way to the 50. And then there was this play. They just handed him off the football, and he finds the hole, one step, two step, and it explodes all the way into the end zone. That was the touchdown, the last touchdown of the game, the touchdown that to end it for the Michigan Panthers, and that let the world know the DC Defenders are spring football champions. Their first spring football championship, their first UFL championship ever in the past 4 years, 3 seasons. I can't remember how long UFL has been in existence. And shout out to Coach Shannon Harris. Shannon Harris, Coach of the Year in the UFL. He became head coach after what's my man's name? Reggie Barlow left.
Went to Tennessee State.
And we probably still don't have the graphic. But we did our list of coaches to replace Eddie George when Eddie George went up to decided to go to Bowling Green. And he was number 3 on my list. Shannon Harris was number 3 on my list. He was Tennessee State. He played at Tennessee State, played quarterback there, and he has a long list of coaching stops and coaching experience at the high level. And for him to come in a week before the season, and if you had to ask him, hey, coach, do you think the last game of the year you'll be getting doused with Gatorade? I'm sure he'll say, he would have said, probably not. I don't know what's going on. That would mean we win a championship. That's something I'm going to work towards, something I'm going to go out there and try and get our guys to do and believe in. And that's the scenes. That's what it is from a week before the season being named head coach because your coach left to getting them to 6-4 and in the UFL championship game and winning the UFL championship game. Shannon Harris, what a coaching job, man.
And hopefully that opens the door. I mean, hopefully he could take the next step too, right? We've seen that DC Defenders franchise position guys to go on to bigger and better opportunities. And, if you take advantage of that, man, like not every one of these UFL teams are thriving. We have one in here in Memphis that just can't get out of his way, right? Just can't win. It doesn't resonate in the city, but that's not the case in DC. And whether it comes to the players, the coaches, or the community, that's a great spot for that franchise to be, and we're seeing why every single season.
Last break, then we're coming back to talk Boondocks, Mike. Let's get it going. All right, don't go anywhere. HBCU Huddle, built for Tough Studios, right here on Grind City Media.
Final score in Nashville last night, Switzerland 4, United States 0. Guess how many shots on goal? Take a guess.
1.
0. Switzerland's keeper could have sat down in the goal and went like this the whole game. And the United States would have still scored 0 goals?
That's wild.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
What can the Memphis Grizzlies learn from the Thunder Pacers NBA Finals series?
Your style of play is not something that you really have to change. Both of these teams love to play fast. Both of these teams love to play really aggressively on the defensive side of the ball.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Murray State is going to the College World Series. It's easy for me to pick a team because 1, I love an underdog. 2, I hate UCLA, and I see that opening round matchup. And 3, we are connected to the school's most famous alumni, Ja Morant of Murray State.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
The UFL Championship was over the weekend
What a
as
game.
well.
Oh, boy.
What a
Big
game.
DC knocking off Michigan 58-34. The Defenders are your champions.
First off, the over was like 50.5. And the over hit in the first half. It was incredible. Stuff was happening. Jordan Tom, who had not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 total touchdowns.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Mike, second disc of Boondocks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what's on you finished Granddad's fight. You
I finished Granddad's fight. Granddad's fight. Yep. That was part of the first disc.
Then it starts with a date with the health inspector?
No, it ends with the date.
First. Okay.
Yeah, first it goes in 5s.
All right, got
5s,
you. So the story of Gangstalicious.
Story of Gangstalicious.
What thoughts?
It's funny how you set up. It's like the whole thing is a spoof, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not telling anybody who's familiar with Boondocks, but this is my first foray into it, man. And you laugh, and then you're like, man, like you kick yourself for like, why am I sitting here watching this? And then something crazy happened, and you just bust out laughing, man. So it was the part that got me in that one was when. Like you on stage and you rapping about I just got shot, and then you just got shot, right? Yeah. And then like how you were rapping about the things that turned out to happen right after you rapped about it, man. So some of that stuff was funny how they spoofed it, man, and that was a good one there. That was one that made me laugh.
There are episodes of Boondocks where it's just goofiness happening, right? The reel where Granddad pretends to be blind because Riley convinces him to do so
for the house makeover and Pimp My Ride
and things like that, right? It's like, okay, this is just goofy stuff. And then there are moments where I think there are true criticisms of culture, of black culture in particular.
Mm-hmm. And there's definitely something in that.
That is Gangstalicious, the story of Gangstalicious.
Okay.
And that is something that is prevalent today.
Mm-hmm.
How rappers behave today.
Mm-hmm.
What it means to be a man to today. Those things are all up and down throughout the story of Gangstalicious, and it plays out in a pretty hysterical way.
Yeah.
Where Gangstalicious is supposed to be this gangster, and then you look up and you realize he's short. He hits you with the line, "I fear no man but God. Only God can judge me." First off, God is God. God is not a man. Like, I don't understand that sentence at all. And then he realizes there's no security outside
at the hospital,
and he's very, very afraid at that point.
Right.
Then it's like, all right, you got the Lear jet. Let's go hop in the jet. Like, I don't. That's not my. We rented that.
We rented that.
Gangstalicious. Where's the gun at? I dropped it. How you drop the gun and you gangsta-licious. That's very not gangster, right? And it culminates in this. You end up figuring out what the beef is about, and the beef is about jilted lovers. Two dudes who loved one another. The breakup goes bad, and one dude goes crazy and decides, all right, I'm angry now. You thought it was over some truly gangster type stuff, and
it was a lover's quarrel.
It was a lover's quarrel. So it is, all right, how much of this part of the culture is in rap right now? How much of, and there's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with gay people, right? Nothing wrong with that. How much of that, though, is in this very homophobic thing rap is, right? Because rap is extraordinarily homophobic. Rap can be extraordinarily sexist, or is extraordinarily sexist, misogynistic, still right now to this day. But how much of this is just an act of front? How much of this? And so that comes out in that episode. And I love, one of my favorite episodes of Boondocks is the story of Gangsta-licious. And Mike, I know you said after season 1, you're good. There's a second part of Gangsta-licious.
I know. I saw the title.
You got to see. There might be a couple episodes that you need to see that. Huey Freeman Christmas. What did you think?
You know what? I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed that one because I love it. It was educational in the sense that, you know, Christmas is just the creation of what Christmas is basically all about materialistic stuff. And I love the fact that the Quincy Jones made a guest appearance in there. So these guest appearances are all great in that. But I like this. I like that story because it told a little bit more of what, like, how we go overboard in celebrating this day for something that we created it to be, as opposed to what it actually truly is from a biblical standpoint. So I got that one. That was more of it wasn't as much of a satire as it was all right, I got a message, and here's the message.
It was more message and less of the ridiculousness that can happen from time to time.
Now, the real confused me, though. It didn't confuse me. It just, I was confounded by the fact that, okay, we're talking about Grandpa being blind and, you know, so that so Riley can get him on, you know, Pimp My Ride in the new house. And then you got this other storyline with the government agent just over your shoulder. Those were two different, that was almost kind of like Kugler to me. It was like you're trying to do two things in one thing.
If they had spoiler alert, he doesn't come back. Right. If that is how they introduced the agent, and the agent was a recurring sort of thing where every now and then he sort of pops up. I would have rocked with that a bit more, but I'm with you. That's just odd to throw him in there and then not use him again. You could have used him again in some of these stories that get told later on.
And it didn't connect the storylines at all. It didn't. It was two completely different tracks.
It very clearly to me is, hey, we've got this idea for the character. Let's throw the character in there, and we'll bring him back periodically to tell some of these things. And they just never bring him back. That is a legitimate complaint. I also share that complaint. All right, Return of the King. That is the one that drew the ire of Al Sharpton,
of course,
and
of course,
maybe some other civil rights leaders. Thoughts on that?
That one was the one. Like, it lived up. One of the reasons why I committed to watching it was because you saw that episode as one that would jump out. And for a lot of different reasons, and it really did. It lived up to it. I found myself going back and like rewinding it and watching certain things because I was like, did I just miss something? But the fact that it was King coming back, I thought it was highly inappropriate at first, but by the end I was like, okay, I get why he did. I get what they're trying to say. And in all honesty, I almost think, you know, some of that stuff is probably true. Now, I don't think King would have used the language that he did at the end of that speech.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You know what I mean?
That's
dropping the N-words and like, you know, but I think there would be some upheaval and disappointment at the debauchery that the culture has cultivated through media, through music, through a lot of stuff that's going on. And I think he said, did I get my ass whipped for this? That was the line right there, man. Did I get my ass whipped for this? And so for us to be this. So you got to set that up.
Set up the episode. The Return of the King is Dr. King, instead of being assassinated, the bullet hits him. He's in a coma.
For 30 years.
For 30 years, he wakes up and he takes a look at the world now. And so
he comes back aged.
He comes back
so
aged.
He's in his 60s now, 70s.
He's back and he's Dr. King.
Yeah.
And so it is the peaceful, nonviolent Dr. King.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the midst of the war on terror, and he's speaking out against that. White America has turned on him.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to start a political party, a political movement, and black people aren't really hearing it. So on both sides, it is, hey, you guys aren't listening, and the frustration comes through, particularly on the black side, because like, yo, I need you to listen. You're my people.
Yeah.
I fought for this. I took ass whoopings for this. Like really, truthfully, to try and move us forward, and we've moved forward, and you guys have stopped.
Yeah.
And you can't stop. You have to keep going. The speech is this it? This is what I got all those ass whoopings for. I had a dream once. It was a dream that little black boys and little black girls would drink from the river of prosperity, freed from the thirst of oppression. But lo and behold, some 4 decades later, what have I found, but a bunch of trifling, shiftless, good-for-nothing N-words. And I know some of you don't like to hear me say that word. It's the ugliest word in the English language, but that's what I see now, N-words. And then he goes into the poem, and that's a poem. I forget who wrote the poem, but that's the poem, and he ends it by being frustrated and like, yo, forget this. I'm done fighting for you. You guys are fighting against me. I'm going to Canada, right? Like
I'm going to Canada. Right.
The moment of.
And then he dies at 91 years later in Canada, and Oprah Winfrey is elected or something like that.
Something like that. First black president or whatever.
But it took that scene right there, that speech took me from, like visibly laughing and smiling and like shocked because and then I was like, damn, this is pretty serious. Like this show is trying to make a serious point. And by the end of that speech, I was like, wow, it was a very powerful episode, and it intentionally made you uncomfortable, and rightfully so. Right?
There are
and rightfully so.
Real poignant moments of social critiques and criticism coming from this show. If you can, and I can, I love it this way. If you can get through some of the extracurriculars, some of the over the top, and his Uncle Ruckus running around throwing bricks at Dr. King, right? Like that. If you can get past some of that, there are true moments of realness and of topics that you need to hear about. You finished the itis.
I did finish the itis. I finished the itis.
The itis is one of my favorite episodes.
And you told me, we talked about that one off show one day, and you set it up, so I kind of knew what to expect. Yeah. And I still was like pleased that this is the case, man. Like, we put all of this, all of these unhealthy elements into our food that we consume and call it soul food.
Can I push back?
Yeah.
You said food into the culture. There's a moment of tension there between Granddad and Huey. Granddad, again, setting up the show. Granddad, with the financial backing of Onceler, opens a soul food restaurant, and it's all terrible stuff that is going to kill you. It's going to give you diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, high blood pressure, and heart disease, one meal, right? Like, it's going to do that to you.
Right.
And Huey is fighting back against that. And there's a moment of tension where they stare one another down, and Granddad tells them, truthfully, this food is your culture. And Huey says, then the culture is destructive. We don't have to do everything the way that it was done. It was done that way for a reason. That reason is long gone now. We don't have to continue to do it this way.
But we also have the creativity, though, because there are elements of that food that are aligned with our history, right? Like, I mean, who doesn't? I love macaroni and cheese when it's done right. I love greens, and I love it flavored with, pork sometimes, right? So, I don't have to eat chitlins on top of. I don't have to do the Luther burger. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to have 2 Krispy Kreme donuts with a pound of beef and bacon and cheese and all that. I don't have to do it that way. But again, it was going overboard to make a larger point. Are there elements of our soul food that we can still figure out ways to maybe use turkey instead of this and make healthier options within the delicatessen that is soul food? Yes, we can. You know what I mean? But I also don't like, these and I have members of people in my family that are like this. They go completely 180, right? I'm not going to eat anything. Like I'm just, let me eat cardboard and sand and let me drink water and that's all I'm doing. Well, you're doing too much on the other side too, right? There's a way that we can find a happy medium in there if we're just, understanding. But I did love the reference to the movie Soul Food and how, what did they do right after she died? They had another Sunday dinner with soul food, the same food that killed her. Yeah. So that was funny. That was enjoyable, and it was funny, and it was poignant. And there are some true lessons in that. Last thing I'll say on this, T-Zan, I'll turn it over to you. What this series has done to me, and it reminded me of how I used to feel about Public Enemy, one of my favorite rap groups of all time. For all of the realness and the truth and the history that my man Chuck D brought, you had to also get the Flavor Flav silliness and the clock around the neck and all of the stereotypical stuff that Flavor Flav, the gold teeth in the mouth. So it's like, you're giving me this. Boondocks is the embodiment of what Public Enemy was. Like, you got to take this, but I'm also going to give you this because I need to catch the attention of those who might get, distracted with too much history and too much truth. So that's in a nutshell how I'm experiencing Boondocks.
The moment in the trial of R. Kelly.
Yeah, going back to the
first five to the first disc, where Huey in the monologue says, as Granddad goes back after Uncle Ruckus has said some truly outlandish things, right? Granddad goes, wakes him up so he can take him home. He was like, why do we do this? Well, there are people, if we don't take care of them, who will? Chuck D can't leave Flavor Flav behind because who's going to take care of him, right? Huey can't leave Granddad Riley behind because who's going to take care of them? There has to be a bit of love for your people, even when they're doing some things that are truly detrimental to them. The way the itis ends is incredible. It does a great job, to me, the entire episode, using food as the catalyst, something easy to do, something easy to use and talk about, of saying, hey, just so you know, there are destructive things in the black culture that we can absolutely take out and still be proud and still be cool and still be black. There are things, not just from a food standpoint, everything don't got to be cooked with fat back. Sometimes you can use turkey meat. Sometimes you don't use any meat this evening, right? That type of stuff. But you don't have to completely, to your point, in terms of food, go to eating cardboard and sand and things of that nature, right? Like, you can take out the damaging things and still keep the culture intact. The episode ends, and Ed Wuncler has gotten exactly what he wanted. He wanted that damn park, and he didn't want to pay all that money for it. Bring the black people in, let the culture destroy the community, and drop the property value down. Then he can come in and buy it. It's perfect. The way racism is used as a tool for a rich person to get richer. Like, that was the entire point of the episode. Is, hey, these stereotypes, these tropes, these damaging things to the culture, they exist, and they are there, and they continue to be perpetrated by us as somebody else benefits off of this.
There are multiple branches to to the root of that story, right? It sprouts multiple branches from that standpoint, and it's educational, man. It's one of those things where you learn a lot, and you see a lot, and you laugh a lot, you cringe a lot, and it's definitely something that catches our attention. And the reason why we're doing it is because this is the 20th anniversary of season 1 of the Boondocks, and we both came across some things that referenced Boondocks, and we were like, okay, let's re-explore it 20 years later, and a lot of these themes are still relevant today.
You're going to do the third disc.
I'm going to do the third disc. We got one more. We got one more
disc, and then one more in us. Just a handful of episodes. Just a handful. All right. That does it. We ran long. Sorry, Kyra. We'll be back in 2 weeks. July, maybe we'll be back in 2 weeks. Mike got to let meat marinate. We'll figure it out. Stay tuned. If we're not back in 2 weeks, we'll definitely be back at some point in time, man. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. You've been listening to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt, Mike Wallace right here on Grind City Media in the Built for Tough Studios. Everybody, if we don't see you, we're not going to see you before the 4th. Have a happy 4th. Happy Juneteenth to everybody.
And check out the SWAC Picnic. SWAC Alumni Picnic. SWAC Alumni Picnic. We talked about that last episode. Go check that out.
Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.